Listen carefully. Your future is hidden inside the things you keep postponing. The business you want is on the other side of consistency. The confidence you want is on the other side of discomfort. The money you want is on the other side of value creation. But too many people are waiting to feel motivated. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation comes and goes. Winners don't rely on motivation. Winners rely on standards. If your standards are low, your life will remain low. If your standards rise, your results will rise. You cannot keep entertaining distractions and expect extraordinary outcomes. Every day you delay your purpose, somebody else is stepping into the opportunity that could have been yours. That should wake something up inside of you. How many dreams have died simply because someone kept waiting for the right moment? Think about that. Every year, millions of people sit on powerful ideas, life-changing goals, and massive potential, not because they are incapable, but because they are waiting to feel confident, waiting for support, waiting for perfect conditions, waiting for fear to disappear. But here is the truth most people never realize. The perfect moment does not exist. Success begins the second you stop waiting and start moving. That is the line that separates winners from spectators. The people you admire today were not fearless when they started. They were uncertain. They were uncomfortable. They doubted themselves more times than anyone knows. But they made one powerful decision. They refused to stay stuck. And that decision changed everything because life rewards action, not intention. You can have the greatest vision in the world, but if you never move, your potential remains trapped inside your mind. Ideas alone do not change lives. Execution does. Most people are addicted to preparation instead of progress. They spend years planning, studying, talking, and imagining, but never stepping into action. They want guarantees before they begin. They want certainty before they commit. But every successful person understands something powerful. Clarity comes after movement, not before it. You do not become confident by thinking about success. You become confident by surviving difficult moments and realizing you are stronger than your excuses. The reason many people stay average is because they allow emotions to control their decisions. If they feel motivated, they work. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel afraid, they hesitate. But high achievers operate differently. They understand that feelings are temporary, but opportunities are not. They know that if they wait until they feel ready, they may wait their entire lives. Sometimes you have to force yourself to move while fear is still present. Sometimes you have to take the step before you can see the staircase. And let's be honest, waiting has a hidden cost. Every day you delay your purpose, your confidence weakens a little more. Every day you postpone action, doubt becomes stronger. Your mind starts creating excuses that sound logical, but in reality, they are chains keeping you trapped. I'll start next month. I need more time. What if I fail? But what if your future is waiting on the other side of one uncomfortable decision? What if the life you dream about only belongs to the version of you willing to move now? The world belongs to people who take initiative. Nobody hands greatness to hesitant people. Nobody rewards endless procrastination. Opportunity respects movement. Imagine two people with the same dream. One keeps waiting for perfect conditions. The other starts with limited resources, little confidence, and no guarantees. 5 years later, one person has experienced growth, wisdom, connections, and momentum. The other still has excuses. That is the dangerous power of delay. Time never pauses for hesitation. One of the biggest lies people believe is that successful individuals are somehow special. They are not special because they never felt fear. They became successful because they acted despite fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement in the presence of fear. And the moment you understand that, your entire life changes. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what happens if I never try? Because regret is heavier than failure will ever be. There are people right now building businesses without perfect knowledge. There are people changing their lives while still feeling insecure. There are people succeeding while still learning. Why? Because they understood a principle that average people ignore. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates belief, and belief changes everything. The hardest step is always the first one. Once you move, your mindset expands, your confidence grows, your vision becomes clearer, doors begin to appear that you could never see while standing still. You were not created to spend your life watching others succeed while you remain trapped in hesitation. There is greatness inside you that will never appear until you stop negotiating with your excuses. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for certainty. Stop waiting for approval from people who never had the courage to chase their own dreams. Your future does not need another excuse. Your future needs action. Because the moment you force yourself to begin, even imperfectly, even fearfully, even uncertainly, you activate a version of yourself that has been sleeping for years. And once that version wakes up, your life will never be the same again. What if the greatest advantage in life has nothing to do with talent? What if the people dominating industries, building wealth, changing lives, and reaching extraordinary levels of success are not winning because they were born gifted, but because they mastered something far more powerful, discipline? That changes the entire conversation. Because talent can impress people for a moment, but discipline builds legacies that last for generations. Too many people spend their lives admiring talented individuals while ignoring the hidden force behind every meaningful achievement. They see the results, but never the routine. They see the success, but never the sacrifice. They see the spotlight, but never the lonely mornings, the exhausting nights, and the relentless consistency that created it all. Discipline is what keeps a person moving when excitement disappears. And excitement always disappears eventually. Talent is dangerous when it is not supported by discipline. In fact, some of the most gifted people in the world never reach their potential because they rely too heavily on natural ability. They become comfortable. They stop sharpening themselves. They expect opportunities to come easily forever. Meanwhile, disciplined individuals continue improving every single day, step by step, hour by hour, quietly building skills, habits, and momentum that eventually become impossible to ignore. The world is filled with talented people who started strong and disappeared, but disciplined people endure. They survive hard seasons. They adapt under pressure. They continue showing up long after others lose interest. Because discipline is not based on emotion. Discipline is based on decision. It says, I will continue whether I feel inspired or not. That mindset creates a level of power most people never experience. Let's be honest, motivation is unreliable. Some mornings you will wake up feeling unstoppable. Other mornings you will feel tired, distracted, frustrated, and uncertain. If your success depends only on motivation, your results will always be inconsistent. But discipline changes the game completely. Discipline allows you to execute regardless of your mood. It trains your mind to obey your goals instead of your feelings. And that is where real transformation begins. Think about the people who dominate at the highest level. Athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, creators, they all have one thing in common. They understand the value of repetition. They understand that greatness is not created in dramatic moments. Greatness is created in daily routines nobody applauds. The small decisions repeated every day eventually become life-changing results. One workout, one extra hour of focus, one more attempt, one more disciplined decision when quitting feels easier. Success is not one giant leap. Success is 1,000 small disciplined actions stacked together over time. Most people underestimate the power of consistency because the results are invisible in the beginning. Discipline feels unrewarded at first. You work hard and see little progress. You sacrifice comfort and still feel far from your goals. But what many people fail to understand is that discipline compounds. Just like money grows through compound interest, disciplined actions multiply over time. The person who stays committed long enough eventually reaches a level where people call them lucky without realizing they spent years building that moment. And here is the painful truth. Undisciplined habits silently destroy potential. Every distraction weakens focus. Every excuse weakens character. Every delay weakens momentum. You cannot build an extraordinary future with ordinary habits. Your daily behavior is either building your dream or destroying it. There is no neutral direction. Every day, you are either becoming stronger or weaker, sharper or slower, closer to success or further from it. Discipline also builds self-respect. There is something powerful that happens when you keep promises to yourself. When you wake up early, even when you want to sleep. When you continue working while others waste time. When you stay focused while distractions pull at your attention, you begin trusting yourself differently. Your confidence no longer comes from outside validation. It comes from knowing you can depend on yourself. And that kind of confidence cannot be faked. The truth is, disciplined people eventually outperform talented people because discipline creates endurance. Talent might help someone start faster, but discipline ensures they finish stronger. And life is not won by people who start fast. Life is won by people who refuse to stop. The marketplace rewards consistency. Success rewards persistence. Opportunity reward preparation. That is why disciplined individuals keep rising while others slowly fade away. There will always be people more naturally gifted than you. But never let that intimidate you, because discipline can place you in rooms talent alone could never reach. A disciplined person with average talent will eventually surpass a talented person with average discipline. Why? Because discipline creates momentum, structure, reliability, and growth. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement. At some point, you must stop asking whether you are talented enough and start asking whether you are disciplined enough. Because your future is not decided by what you can do occasionally. Your future is decided by what you can do consistently. And once discipline becomes part of your identity, doors begin to open that talent alone could never unlock. What if the very thing making you feel safe is the same thing destroying your future? Think about that carefully. Most people are not failing because they lack intelligence, opportunity, or potential. They are failing because they have become addicted to comfort. And comfort is dangerous because it feels harmless while silently stealing your growth. The comfort zone is a beautiful place for temporary rest, but it is a terrible place to build a meaningful life. Nothing extraordinary has ever been created by people who refuse to become uncomfortable. Every dream demands a version of you that does not exist yet. The stronger, wiser, more disciplined version of you is waiting on the other side of discomfort. But most people never meet that version of themselves because the moment life becomes difficult, they retreat back into safety. They avoid risk. They avoid pressure. They avoid uncertainty. And while they protect themselves from temporary discomfort, they also block themselves from transformation. The truth is, growth and comfort cannot live in the same space for long. The moment you choose growth, discomfort becomes part of the process. That is why so many people stay stuck in the same financial situation, the same mindset, the same routines, and the same level of success year after year. They keep choosing what feels familiar instead of what creates progress. Familiarity feels safe, but safety often becomes a prison disguised as peace. Look at the most successful people in any field. They did not reach extraordinary levels by staying comfortable. They stepped into rooms where they felt unqualified. They took risks before they had guarantees. They spoke when fear told them to stay silent. They invested in themselves before seeing immediate results. They embraced uncertainty because they understood something powerful. Discomfort is often the price of expansion. Most people wait until they feel ready before taking action, but readiness is a myth. Nobody feels fully prepared for greatness. Nobody feels fully prepared to build something meaningful. Confidence is not created before the challenge. Confidence is created through the challenge. Every difficult experience is shaping you into someone stronger. Every uncomfortable moment is developing abilities you could never gain through comfort alone. And, let's be honest, comfort can become addictive. Sleeping a little longer feels easier. Avoiding hard conversations feels easier. Delaying responsibilities feels easier. Staying distracted feels easier. But temporary comfort creates permanent consequences. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, you weaken your future a little more. Every time you avoid discomfort, you train yourself to fear growth. That is why many people remain trapped in cycles they desperately want to escape. They want change, but they refuse the discomfort that change requires. You cannot become powerful while constantly protecting yourself from pressure. Pressure creates strength. Pressure creates resilience. Diamonds are not formed in comfort. Muscles are not built in comfort. Leaders are not developed in comfort. Everything valuable grows through resistance. The challenge you are avoiding may be the very thing capable of transforming your life. But transformation never arrives wrapped in convenience. The scary part about comfort zones is that they slowly lower your standards without you noticing. You stop pushing yourself. You stop dreaming bigger. You stop taking initiative. You begin settling for less than what you are capable of. And eventually, average becomes normal. That is one of the greatest tragedies in life. Not failure, but settling. Settling for less effort, less growth, less impact, and less purpose simply because discomfort feels inconvenient. Meanwhile, the people who succeed at the highest level are training themselves to become comfortable with discomfort. They understand that fear is often a signal that they are growing. They know that every new level of life requires a new level of courage. While average people run from pressure, successful people learn how to function inside it. That difference changes everything. There are opportunities you will never experience until you step beyond what feels safe. There are doors that only open when you take bold action. There are skills inside you that will never appear until life demands them. You have no idea how powerful you can become until you place yourself in situations that force growth out of you. Some of the strongest people today were once terrified beginners who simply decided not to quit. The comfort zone whispers dangerous lies. It tells you to wait longer. It tells you to play smaller. It tells you to avoid risk. But your future requires more from you than comfort can provide. Your dreams require courage. Your goals require sacrifice. Your next level requires discomfort. And once you stop seeing discomfort as an enemy and start seeing it as evidence of growth, your entire mindset changes. Because every breakthrough begins the moment you stop asking, how can I stay comfortable? And start asking, what kind of person must I become to reach the life I desire? That question has the power to change everything. What if your future is being created right now by the small things you keep ignoring? Not once a year. Not only during big decisions. Right now, through your daily habits. The truth most people fail to understand is that success is rarely built in dramatic moments. Success is built quietly, repeatedly, through behaviors that seem small in the beginning, but become life-changing over time. Your habits are not just routines. Your habits are evidence of who you are becoming every single day. Your actions are casting votes for your future identity. The way you think, the way you spend your time, the way you respond to pressure, the way you manage distractions, all of it is shaping the direction of your life. And here is the dangerous part. Habits do not care whether your goals are big or small. Habits work automatically. They either build you or slowly break you. There is no neutral pattern. Every repeated action is moving you toward a stronger future or a weaker one. Most people are focused on outcomes while ignoring the systems producing those outcomes. They want success without structure. They want confidence without discipline. They want transformation without changing their daily behavior. But your future does not respond to wishes. Your future responds to patterns. If your daily habits remain weak, your results will remain weak no matter how badly you want success. Desire alone is never enough. Consistency is what changes lives. Look closely at successful people and you will notice something powerful. They protect their routines like their future depends on them, because it does. They understand that small, disciplined actions repeated over months and years eventually create extraordinary results. Reading every day may not seem dramatic, but over time, it creates wisdom. Exercising consistently may not feel life-changing in a week, but over time, it builds strength, energy, and confidence. Saving money regularly may feel insignificant at first, but eventually it creates freedom. The power is not in one action. The power is in repetition, and this is where many people lose the battle. They underestimate the importance of small choices because the consequences are invisible in the beginning. One wasted day feels harmless. One distraction seems unimportant. One excuse sounds reasonable, but repeated over time, those small decisions become a lifestyle. Your habits become your identity. That is why failure rarely happens suddenly. Failure is usually the result of small negative patterns repeated long enough. At the same time, success also happens quietly before it becomes visible publicly. Long before people celebrate someone's achievements, there were hidden routines nobody saw. Early mornings, sacrifices, focused work, consistent learning, self-discipline during moments when nobody was watching. That is the part many people avoid because habits require patience. And patience is difficult in a world addicted to instant gratification. The modern world is designed to destroy focus. Distractions are everywhere. Entertainment is endless. People spend hours scrolling through other people's lives while neglecting their own future. Every distraction steals energy from your purpose. Every hour wasted weakens momentum. And the frightening part is that distraction feels productive while silently keeping you stuck. You cannot build an extraordinary life with ordinary focus. Greatness requires intentional habits. One of the most powerful things about habits is that they eventually operate automatically. Your brain adapts to whatever you repeatedly practice. If you repeatedly procrastinate, procrastination becomes natural. If you repeatedly take action, discipline becomes natural. If you repeatedly doubt yourself, fear becomes stronger. But if you repeatedly challenge yourself, confidence begins to grow. This means your future is not controlled by luck. Your future is heavily influenced by what you repeatedly do every day. Successful people understand that habits are more important than temporary emotions. They do not wait to feel inspired before doing what must be done. They create routines that keep them productive even when motivation disappears, because motivation fades, feelings change, but habits create stability. Habits create momentum. Habits keep you moving forward when emotions try to pull you backward. And here's the powerful truth many people ignore. The quality of your habits reflects the quality of your standards. When your standards rise, your habits improve automatically. You stop tolerating behaviors that waste your potential. You become more protective of your time, your focus, your energy, and your environment. You stop asking, what do I feel like doing today? And start asking, what action aligns with the future I want? There is a future version of you being shaped right now. Stronger or weaker, focused or distracted, disciplined or inconsistent. Every habit is contributing to that person. And the most exciting part is this: you do not need to change your entire life overnight. One disciplined habit repeated consistently can begin transforming everything. 1 hour of focused effort daily can separate you from the average person within a year. Small actions seem weak until time multiplies their power. The life you desire is not built through random bursts of effort. It is built through daily standards that refuse to break under pressure. Because eventually, your habits stop feeling like actions and start becoming who you are. Why do some people seem to attract endless opportunities while others remain stuck, unnoticed, and overlooked for years? Is it luck? Is it connections? Is it privilege? Sometimes those things may play a role, but the deeper truth is far more powerful. Doors begin to open when you become valuable. The world responds to value. Opportunities respond to value. Success responds to value. And until you understand that principle, you may spend your life chasing results without realizing why they keep escaping you. Most people want rewards before they develop the qualities required to sustain those rewards. They want recognition without growth. They want influence without discipline. They want success without becoming useful. But life does not operate that way. The marketplace does not pay you for your wishes. It pays you for the problems you can solve, the impact you can create, and the value you consistently bring into the lives of others. Think about this carefully. The people who rise to the top in any industry are usually the people who make themselves impossible to ignore. They learn skills others avoid. They develop communication abilities others neglect. They become reliable while others remain inconsistent. They continue improving while others remain comfortable. And over time, That commitment to growth creates opportunities that average people never experience. The dangerous mistake many people make is focusing too much on what they can get instead of who they must become. They chase money without developing the mindset capable of managing money. They chase opportunities without building the character necessary to handle responsibility. They want open doors while refusing to become prepared. But preparation is what attracts opportunity. Success is not random. Success follows value. And here is the reality nobody likes to hear. The world does not owe you recognition simply because you have potential. Potential means nothing without development. There are millions of talented people who remain invisible because they never committed themselves to growth. Talent alone does not create demand. Value creates demand. The more valuable you become, the harder it becomes for the world to ignore you. This is why successful people invest heavily in themselves. They read books while others waste time. They sharpen their skills while others complain. They study communication, leadership, business, discipline, and personal growth because they understand something powerful. The person you become determines the opportunities you attract. If you stay the same, your results stay the same. Growth changes everything. Imagine two individuals entering the same room. One person walks in with excuses, negativity, and average effort. The other walks in with confidence, preparation, knowledge, energy, and solutions. Which person will attract more opportunities? Which person will people trust, remember, and recommend? Value speaks louder than self-promotion. You do not need to beg for opportunities when your work, mindset, and discipline make you stand out naturally. One of the biggest mindset shifts you can make is this. Stop asking, why is nobody giving me a chance? And start asking, have I become valuable enough that ignoring me becomes difficult? That question changes your focus completely. Instead of blaming the world, you begin developing yourself. Instead of waiting for doors to magically appear, you start becoming the type of person doors open for. The powerful thing about value is that it creates momentum. When you become skilled, disciplined, and solution-oriented, people begin noticing you differently. Conversations change. Relationships expand. Opportunities increase. Suddenly you meet the right people. Suddenly your work gains attention. Suddenly doors begin opening that once seemed impossible to reach. But those doors did not open overnight. They opened because you spent years building yourself when nobody was watching. Two, many people underestimate the importance of self-investment. They spend more time entertaining themselves than improving themselves. They consume endless distractions while neglecting the very skills capable of changing their future. But every hour you invest in learning, growing, practicing, and sharpening your abilities increases your value. And increased value creates increased opportunity. Let's be honest, the world rewards people who make life better for others. Businesses reward value. Relationships reward value. Leadership rewards value. If you can solve problems effectively, communicate clearly, bring discipline consistently, and create positive impact, you become an asset. And assets are always in demand. That is why some people rise quickly once they master certain skills. Their value becomes undeniable. The beautiful part is this. Becoming valuable is within your control. You may not control where you start. You may not control every obstacle you face. But you can control your growth. You can control your work ethic. You can control your willingness to learn. You can decide to become sharper, stronger, wiser, and more disciplined every single day. And when you commit to that process long enough, your life begins to shift in ways you never imagined. Because opportunities are rarely attracted to desperation. Opportunities are attracted to preparation. And the moment your value becomes greater than your excuses, the doors that once felt permanently closed will begin opening one after another. What if the reason most people never reach greatness has nothing to do with talent, intelligence, or opportunity? What if the real reason is much simpler? They quit too soon. They walk away in the middle of the process. They give up during the season that was actually preparing them for the breakthrough they prayed for. And that is the tragedy of untapped potential. So many people are closer to success than they realize, but they surrender because the journey becomes uncomfortable. Every powerful story contains a difficult chapter. Every successful person you admire has faced moments where quitting felt reasonable. There were nights filled with doubt, days filled with frustration, and seasons where nothing seemed to work. But the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck is not the absence of struggle. The difference is persistence. Winners keep moving when results are invisible. They continue building while others abandon the process. The hardest part about difficult seasons is that they often feel endless while you are inside them. You work hard and see little progress. You stay disciplined and still face setbacks. You sacrifice comfort and still feel behind. And in those moments, your mind starts asking dangerous questions. Is this even worth it? What if nothing changes? What if I'm wasting my time? Those questions destroy more dreams than failure ever could. But here is what you must understand. Growth is often happening beneath the surface, long before visible results appear. Just because you cannot see progress immediately does not mean progress is absent. A seed spends time growing underground before anyone sees evidence above the surface. And your life works the same way. The discipline you are building, the lessons you are learning, the strength you are developing, all of it is preparing you for opportunities you cannot yet see. Most people are addicted to immediate results. They want fast success, fast recognition, and fast rewards. But real success is usually slower than people expect. That is why persistence has become such a rare quality. People are willing to start, but very few are willing to endure. And endurance is where greatness is formed. Think about how many people quit right before momentum begins. They stop going to the gym before the transformation appears. They abandon the business before growth arrives. They walk away from their goals because the early stages feel frustrating and uncertain. But the beginning of every meaningful journey feels difficult. The challenge is not proof that you are failing. The challenge is proof that you are being tested. Pressure reveals character. Difficult seasons expose whether your commitment is real or emotional. Anybody can stay focused when life feels easy. Anybody can feel confident when results are immediate. But can you remain committed when nobody applauds you? Can you continue believing when progress feels slow? Can you keep showing up when doubt becomes loud? That is where true strength is developed. And let's be honest, quitting is seductive because it offers temporary relief. The moment you stop trying, the pressure disappears for a while. The responsibility fades. The struggle ends temporarily. But eventually something worse appears, regret. The pain of discipline may feel heavy in the moment, but the pain of regret lasts much longer. Nothing hurts more than realizing you abandoned a future that could have changed your life. Successful people are not always the most talented people in the room. Often, they are simply the people who refuse to leave. They stayed committed long enough for their efforts to compound. They adapted instead of surrendering. They learned instead of complaining. They understood that setbacks are not stop signs. Setbacks are lessons preparing you for the next level. Every difficult season is teaching you something valuable. Hardship builds resilience. Rejection builds emotional strength. Failure builds wisdom. Delays build patience. None of those lessons feel enjoyable while you are experiencing them, but later you realize they were necessary. The person capable of handling extraordinary success is usually created through extraordinary pressure. There are moments in life where everything inside you will want to stop. Your energy will feel low. Your confidence will shake. Your vision may become blurry. And during those moments, you must remember why you started. You must remember that temporary emotions should never decide permanent outcomes. Feelings change. Circumstances change. But if you keep moving forward, eventually your season changes too. The breakthrough often arrives after the moment most people would have quit. That is why persistence is so powerful. Persistence separates dreamers from achievers. Persistence keeps you in the game long enough for opportunities to appear, and every time you survive a difficult season, you become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the future ahead. One day, people will look at your success and admire the outcome, but they will never fully understand the battles you fought privately to get there. They will not see the lonely moments, the silent struggles, the discipline it took to continue when quitting felt easier. But you will know. You will know that your success was not built through comfort. It was built through persistence, through refusing to stop during the hard season when everything inside you wanted to walk away. So today, make a decision that your excuses are no longer stronger than your vision. Make a decision that your discipline will become greater than your distractions. Make a decision that you are done waiting for permission to become who you were designed to be. Force yourself to keep going when it's hard. Force yourself to stay committed when nobody notices. Force yourself to believe when results are slow, because one day the struggle you survived will become the story that inspires millions. One day the pain you pushed through will become the power people admire. And one day the doors you prayed for will open in ways you never imagined. Not because luck found you, but because you refused to stop moving forward.